United, and victory on enemy territory today would push them further into title contention. A full house at White Hart Lane. The commentary comes from Martin Tyler.
Well, Tottenham have had to change their plans with a training injury to Clive Wilson, so Sol Campbell is switched to left back, and Colin Calderwood, who's been in the Scotland side but not in his club team recently, he comes back into the centre of defence. Jerry Francis has just completed a year in charge of Spurs. One concern for him today, the fact that only 7 of Tottenham's 19 points so far this season have come at home. But at least they're not facing Ian Wright, who for more than 3 years now has scored 40% of Arsenal's league goals. Wright starts the 3-match suspension, so Welsh international John Hartson starts a senior match for his club for the first time under Bruce Rioch. Dennis Bergkamp and Glenn Helder safely back from helping Holland into that European Championship playoff. David Seaman and Tony Adams played for England on Wednesday. David Platt didn't because of recent lack of match practice, which Arsenal hope will not be a handicap today. The referee really couldn't have been chosen from further away. Alan Wilkie comes from Newcastle. Tottenham to kick off. Arsenal have been in excellent form. Of their last 11 matches in League and Cup, they've won 9. They've just been beaten twice all season. They have the traditional consistency. Spurs equally traditionally perhaps are harder to predict. Long from Mavitt. First challenge in the air from Adams. Cleared by Dixon. You can expect the tackles to be flying in. The spectators demand that. Wilcox has given it away to Dixon. Merson going to his right. Dixon forced through a more central route. And now he's out of position. Rosenthal switching his position. He didn't get very far. Bergkamp. Hartson nicely screening it for Helder to take on the run. But he's not the best finisher. And he's still awaiting his first Arsenal goal. But in most matches he's played, he's got into a position where he challenges the opponent's goal. And here was an early one in this game. In the end, Walker not required. Merson. Hartson. Merson wants it back. Merson gets it back. Early ball for Bergkamp. Brilliant play from Arsenal. Absolutely brilliant goal. The signs were there. They were putting their passes together. But they hadn't really looked like penetrating. They have done now after 14 minutes. And Tottenham ripped apart here. Often Arsenal known for their tenacity rather than their technique. But this was stunning play. A superb finish. And Dennis Bergkamp, the boyhood Spurs fan, makes the current Spurs fans disheartened here. It's Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1. Well, the gauntlet well and truly thrown down to Tottenham here. Arsenal have started very well indeed, but now Ronnie Rosenthal gets behind them. Sheringham! Not in keeping with his recent finishing. Good run by Rosenthal. Arsenal stretch this time. Sheringham's very, very confident in front of goal. And normally his technique is better than that. Helder, well found by Platt. Hartson hoping it would come to him. Calderwood, as he fell, still able to stick out a foot and steer the ball away. But Helder got between two then. Arsenal have a corner. Steve Bold comes up towards the near post, so often the player who touches on so effectively. It's a shorter routine from Arsenal this time. Hartson won the header at the far post. Forward by Gazelle. Armstrong made it his. Fox. 3 up for Tottenham. Arsenal have 3, now 4 back. Fox. It's gone in from Teddy Sheringham, despite the efforts of Adams, despite the efforts of Seaman. And Spurs have struck back after 29 minutes. Seconds after they were defending an Arsenal corner, but Fox got his cross in, and Sheringham stooping there. It looked for a second as though Seaman had saved it, but he hadn't. So Sheringham gets his 13th goal of the season for his club. It's been a great week for him, following on his strike against Switzerland at Wembley for his country. Helder on the ball. Bergkamp. Austin got to it. Helder didn't for Arsenal. Flat beaten by Howells, and Keown got a foot in just to buy Arsenal a bit of time. You felt they needed it. They committed numbers forward, including Adams. Fox. Armstrong. And it's straight at Seaman from Sheringham this time. And that was Sheringham's latest effort. Real battle for power at the start of the second half, to a backdrop of noise. Bergkamp. Merson. Only Hartson in the penalty area for Arsenal. Bergkamp looks for him, and John Hartson outnumbered and not really supported by the quality of the cross then. Sheringham. Sheringham spreading the play for Spurs, to Fox. In towards Sheringham again, well read by Adams. Ooh, Winterburn took a risk with a pass into that area, but the pass was a fine one as it turned out. But Arsenal haven't been able to recapture really the rhythm that they showed in the opening 20 minutes of the game. Armstrong, Chris Armstrong for Tottenham. Tottenham have taken the lead. A magnificent piece of play from the scorer in the 10th minute of the second half. A match that started badly for Spurs, but has a much rosier hue to it now. He picked his way round Steve Bold, did Chris Armstrong, and fired it into the corner. This was a crucial moment here as Bold committed himself. Armstrong beautifully balanced. Much criticised when he was signed, but the joy for the scorer there, those critics are now beginning to eat their words. Armstrong has found the goal touch that Jerry Francis felt he was capable of, and the manager who did a lot to improve Les Ferdinand when the two were together at Queen's Park Rangers is certainly helping Chris Armstrong justify his transfer fee. Gazelle. In comes David Howells. Sheringham. Howells continued his run, and Arsenal haven't tracked him. Oh, and it's a crucial touch from Adams. Just look at Ronnie Rosenthal coming in, thinking he was going to score. Adams had other ideas. Lovely play between Howells and Sheringham to set it up. Another Tottenham corner. Keown, but it comes for Howells, and the midfield man who did begin his life in Tottenham's first team as a forward perhaps showed why he's made more of a career for himself in midfield. This is Merson. That was Gazelle. Shape of the game suiting Spurs, you sense at the moment. They're drawing Arsenal forward and making opportunities on the break. Fox. Oh, Seaman flicked on, recovered somehow when Sheringham came diving in. Seaman stuck out a foot, having lost his footing a moment earlier. Down he went. Up he got, and it stays at 2-1, and Sheringham is denied again. Here's Howells. Well, they're certainly carving out the opening shot, and that was Rosenthal. And they've had enough chances, Jerry Francis will feel here, to have put this game beyond Arsenal's reach. But Rosenthal couldn't keep his header down. Here's Platt. Winterberg. Different challenge now for Dean Austin in the shape of Merson. Hartson. Calderwood at his back. Releasing Merson beautifully. Walker stood up strong as Merson cut in, and the interplay with Hartson was of a high order. There was plenty of velocity in the shot, and Ian Walker refusing to be knocked over by it. Dixon's cross and Walker's catch. The combination here was well orchestrated by Merson and Hartson. Shot that certainly stung Ian Walker, but he kept Tottenham in front. Sheringham, a space here for Dazelle. Armstrong, just enough on it to reach Fox. Austin's cross. Now Howells. Sheringham. Armstrong. Flag was up. Well, there are times when Spurs are coming so strongly through midfield, they're picking up the loose ball in that area, and that led to another threat to the Arsenal goal, but Armstrong diving in was offside. Hartson trying to chip Walker, who was worried for a second or two. Well, John Hartson almost manufacturing there a goal worthy of the player he's replaced today, Ian Wright. It was an ambitious try, but he wasn't too far away from pulling it off. Keown. Mercer. Austin came a long way to get to Winterburn. Hartson. And that's going to be an Arsenal corner. Merson to take the corner. Goal couldn't quite glance it on that time. Hillier back to Merson again. Tottenham not out of the wood here, not by any means. Well, Tony Adams craned his neck forward then. Well, you'd have bet on Adams putting this one in. Not easy, had to fight for the right to get there, but it hit the net on the outside. Another climb on bowled this time by Calderwood. All hands to the pump in an attacking sense for Arsenal. Everyone but Armstrong withdrawn by Spurs to defend. Merson takes it. Hart turn. Oh! And Steve Bold stretching in. But it is a corner, I think. Whether Bold was just beaten to it. Must have been. Arsenal looking for a grandstand finish here. Spurs trying to keep them out. Merson's corner. It's Lee Dixon on his left foot, not his best foot. Great joy for Spurs in the clearance from Campbell. And we are into stoppage time. Bergkamp chasing in vain. Well, you wouldn't have expected these things 20 minutes into this match. When Arsenal had set the early tempo, had taken the lead, but then Teddy Sheringham equalised. And the one goal we've seen in the second half looks as though it's going to be the one that settles it. From Chris Armstrong it is. It's the Tottenham camp who can hold their heads high in North London tonight. Quite a recovery after Bergkamp had scored so early for Arsenal. Teddy Sheringham equalised before half-time. And a lovely piece of work from Chris Armstrong before firing in the winner. The proper way to mark the start of Jerry Francis's second year in charge of White Hart Lane. So the delight of winning in a derby goes to Tottenham. And in the league table tonight, they're now only 2 points behind Arsenal. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Arsenal 1. It was a splendid North London derby.
Great, it's a nice way to start your second year in charge of Spurs.
Yes, I mean, obviously it was a big game, Martin, and, you know, first 15 minutes, I felt we gave them far too much time and space and respect, really, and they played very well and got their first goal. I was able to put a few of those things right by closing down areas a little bit better from the line, but it's such a noisy atmosphere, you can't do everything. At half-time we were able to put a few things right, and to be perfectly honest, I thought our second half performance was outstanding.